Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation, and our Paws On Manga segment.
Today we're covering the manga series for The Kid I Saw in My Dreams.
Yes, and this series was created by the same author of Erased, Kei Sanbi, and has an equally chilling tale. It centers this time around a young man who wants to find the man who killed his family and separated him from his twin brother when he was a child.
And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and notification for some future podcasts and multiple pause videos.
Absolutely. This book I actually found at the library. They had the first 2 volumes available, and then 1 and 2, and then 9 and 10. Thinking 9 and 10 were the last 2, and 1 and 2 were the first, I got those 4. And then we had to get the others to read in between. And we learned that there are actually 12 volumes in this series.
Yes.
So we've only read up to 10, but it's a wild ride so far.
Yes.
And if you love the race, you're really going to love this series as well.
And what's a little ironic is that some of the characters look like the ones from Erased, almost to a point where you think this is in the same universe.
Yeah, it does look that way. So for those of you who don't know, Sanbi is a Japanese manga artist, and the book is illustrated actually by Kishi Kenesada, who's also his partner.
Yes. And
you may know the name or it sounds familiar from, as we mentioned, Erased. Also, Terastroto, Kimeayadori. Haven't read these. Black Road, Hataru, Puzzle. And then since For the Kid I Saw in My Dreams, there have been 3 more releases: Island in a Puddle, 13 Kaimi no Ashiaro, and Rito, the Protector.
Wow, he really does a lot of these stories out at a time. And it seems like he's got a thing for making these really complex murder mysteries. And, you know, usually we're not into that type of thing, but the thing for this particular author is that they're not so focused on the act itself and showing it. They're showing the aftermath, what happened, and piecing together how this could have happened, how to solve the mystery, how to fix things. And one involved going back in time. This one involves finding someone who's been missing for years and going off memory. So it's different ways to solve it. And I think that's why Erased stood out so much and this guy's other works, because you're not so focused on the act itself and the horror. It's what happens afterwards, and the aftermath of it is what's more interesting than the thing itself. And every time something's revealed about who's the culprit, it's always like, oh my gosh, you think it can't get crazier, but it just keeps going and keeps going, and more gets revealed, and the more you get closer to the end, the more crazy it gets, to the point like, how is this gonna end?
True. And in this series, we're introduced to Senri Nakoju in volume 1. Each book averages around 200 pages. And we learn most of the backstory. It's touched on. You don't get really big details. But when you do, wow. And we learn that, as we mentioned, his family was murdered. He had a twin brother. And his twin brother
is Kazuto.
He's been thinking for a while that he's dead, but he has this feeling he may not be, because it's revealed that the 2 of them, or at least the 2 of them would feel each other's pain and be aware of each other.
Right.
And he felt when he was being beaten and taken, but he didn't feel like his life was over.
Right.
And we're also introduced to his friend, and he's an orphan. Well, no, he's not an orphan because he lives with his grandparents. Forgive me. He lives with his grandparents.
Yes.
But we are introduced to a friend of his, a girl who is an orphan.
Right.
And she's from an orphanage. And you find out that he's considered a hoodlum.
You're right.
And this is all revealed in the first volume.
Right. So it's already a lot.
So he runs a gang with, I think it's a 3-member gang.
Yeah.
You end up finding out they really are his friends.
Yeah.
And they take an item from someone in the high school. He's in high school with Treasure Mentor. And then he comes along and goes, hey, I can get it back for you, but it's going to cost you. I want 20% of the value or 50% of the value. And then he goes and pretends to beat them up and get it back, and they get paid.
Right.
And this is what they've been doing.
Right. And that's, I guess, the hustle.
But then something happens in the first book toward the end where he sees someone. He's looking for the guy that killed his family.
Mm-hmm.
And
they call him the fireman.
Right. And he sees something on the news that lets him know that the fireman was involved.
Yes.
And then he really gets adamant on, okay, I'm going to go get him and I'm going to take him out.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the second volume, you found out again that these guys are his friends. They're not just a gang member. They really do care.
Yes.
And they want to help him. And he tells them basically what's going on.
Right.
And then from there all the way through 10, you get this story and it's unfolding of what's happening, of more and more clues to what's going on.
Yeah, right.
More and more is revealed and not just thrown out, but it's really craftily done in a very creative way, in a very interesting way. And then by the time you get to the 10th volume, oh my goodness, as Rascal said, all hell breaks loose. Things start being revealed and happening you didn't expect. And it gets worse, and it gets worse. And you're wondering if Senri is going to end up being taken out.
Yeah.
He finds out the truth about his brother. He finds out the truth about his mother. He finds out the truth about his daddy. He finds out the truth about everybody.
Yes. And everything starts unraveling. Yeah.
And nothing, absolutely nothing is what it seems. I think it's funny because Sambe in the beginning makes you think you know what's going on. He gives you the illusion that this is going to be a story that's easy to figure out. Just you're the detective like Batman.
Right.
And, this is going to be a story like any other book, and I figured it out, and this is what happened. And the more you read, the more you know you don't know crap. And by the time you get to book 10, you're like, what in the heck just happened?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. And you're just sitting there reading with your mouth open. It's that good.
Right. And amidst all of this, they do have the time for a little bit of humor.
True. And
most of it comes in at the end of the book where he kind of tells you some little odd happenings that happen when he's not writing the stories. If something happens in his life or with his job or with his partner or weird incidences, and they're meant to be humorous. And every once in a while happens in the book. Now, they're not like JJK where they just go off the rails, bonkers, hilarious, and then scary as heck the next minute. They just kind of throw in some funny lines that ease the tension a little bit. Like when they set up another thing of, like you said, pretending to beat him up to get the deal and everything with the three friends. And they say, read about in some sci-fi magazine that twins have psychic powers. No matter how far away they are, they can always sense each other still. And so, where'd you read that? And it's supposed to be some crackpot type magazine full of lies. And where'd you read that? And so-and-so. And he was silent. Look at them. He's like, oh, it is that magazine? Do you have a life? it's like the little bits of humor really come from them. And it's not in there as much, it gets towards the end, but they do have enough in there where you're at least laughing a couple times with some of the dialogue because you do need it. Yes. And the funniest thing with them, they're the source of it, is that at one point they're beaten up really badly. It's so bad it gets sent to the hospital. And then the girl says they're all idiots because they said, oh, we'll do it again. He's our friend. Like, you're an idiot. You're all idiots.
And you're surprised. You're like, what? They actually like him. They actually care.
And the one that seems to be the closest with him is the one with the glasses. That seems to be the one he's closest to.
Yeah.
Because he keeps driving him everywhere on the bike to go to these long out places far from the city just to find clues and things. And it's like, yeah, you are good friends to do all this. It's like, Clyde!
Now, as far as we know, there's not an anime on this.
Nope.
Or anything of that nature.
And it's hard to find.
Really good. If there were.
Yeah, and it's hard to find any information on this book. Like you said, there's no anime. announcement. There's no live action. There's no light novel, no OVA, nothing. There's no movie. There's absolutely nothing. It's just the manga. And I don't know if this happens for the rest of his works or it's just only this, or Erase is the only thing they wanted to adapt because it's the best one out of the works. Like with Azumi, Nozaki's the biggest thing she has, and that's what they market towards, and everything else sort of just has a lower interest. So we'll never know. Maybe it will get an anime at one point, but right now, as of recording and reading these, it has nothing else but just the books.
Right. Now, Erased, as you know, not only has a manga, but there's also an anime. We started reading the manga, and we also started watching the anime.
Right.
And it was really interesting. But we saw in the anime they made some big changes.
And then speeding up
Right.
the events, they changed how someone was taken out. They tried to make it more shocking when the book was already shocking to begin with.
Right, but you like the flow of the anime, so if this ever gets one, I hope they stick more to the, as you mentioned, the pace of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Because the manga is really good. If you're looking to read something that is engaging, that you can't figure out, that's got a mystery, yes, it's got some action, yes, it's got a little violence going on, very little fan service, I mean, a skirt or something, but
Very little.
that's definitely not the focus of it. And where you see character development, you think you know this character, but you're seeing this character change in ways, not only the way he thinks, how he's reacting, but in what his plans are.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the beginning of the book, as I said, he's constantly saying he wants to take out the fireman.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to get rid of him. And you find out that there are other people who feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
You find out that he is learning to think differently, not only from his grandmother and grandfather, but also for his friend
Mm-hmm.
who talks to him and tries to steer him in a better direction, and who's there for him. She's really dependable. She's really there for him.
Mm-hmm.
She really sticks by him. And you can't tell if it's a ship or not. And
Yeah.
whether it's a ship or not, she's a really good friend.
Yeah.
And you end up liking her a lot.
Right. And that's pretty much all we can tell you about it, because if you remember how Promised Neverland was when it was first out, both the manga and the anime, you couldn't really tell too much. But we can at least tell you the synopsis on this. That one, you couldn't even tell what it was about because the synopsis is a spoiler.
Sure.
Here, there's so much going on in here that we can't begin to get into all the detail because there's too much happening, and you really want to read it for yourself so you get the full experience like we did. And that's pretty much all we can say. There's a lot of twists and turns, and you want to experience it for yourself rather than us tell you, and you just kind of read what we tell you. You want to really enjoy this for yourself, give it a try, especially like these mysteries, a lot of twists and turns, and psych out and all that.
And it really would ruin it for you if we said too much, but we're telling you, give this a read. Now, if you've already read For the Kid I Saw in My Dreams, let us know in the comments below, especially if you finished it. Tell us, were you happy with the ending and what you think.
Right.
If you haven't read it, it's available to buy on Amazon right now, $17 a volume, or you can get it from your local library. And if you either watched the anime or read the Erase manga, let us know in the comments as well. Would you like to see a review on the manga and the anime?
Yes.
Let us know.
Yes. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates, movie videos, favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining us today. And we're so happy to recommend this to you. We know you're going to love it. And look forward to more manga reviews this year. On Thursdays, we're excited because we're reading a whole lot of manga. And watching a whole lot of anime.
Yes.
So we're happy to share so many more new favorites.
Yes.
And so many that we didn't know about, but you guys actually recommended, so thanks so much.
Yes. Thank you so much for watching Mask Entertainment.
And Mom Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.